Okay, let's talk about swaps. We're going to say we have two different companies here. We're going to call the companies AAA and BBB. We're going to say the companies can borrow money in the fixed rate market, and A can borrow money at 4% in the fixed rate market, and B can borrow money at 5.2% in the fixed rate market. They can also borrow floating, which is going to be, let's call it 6-month LIBOR, in which case A would pay LIBOR plus 20 basis points and B would pay LIBOR plus 60 basis points. Okay, which company is better? Company A can borrow money at a lower rate whether they borrow floating rate or fixed rate. So which one has a comparative advantage? Well, think of it this way. Company B is 120 basis points worse off than A in the fixed rate market. Company B is 40 basis points worse off than Company A in the floating rate market. So B has a comparative advantage in floating and A has a comparative advantage in fixed. Okay, so what happens? We have Company A over here. They do what they do best. They issue at a fixed rate of 4%. Over here we have Company BBB, and they do what they do best. They issue at LIBOR plus 60 in the floating rate market. So A decides, you know what, I wish I could have bonds that I paid a floating rate rather than paying a fixed rate. I don't care why they decide that, they just decide it. And then B at the same time decides, man, I don't like paying floating rate, I wish I could pay fixed rate. So A and B magically find each other, or there's a swap dealer. A swap dealer like a Merrill Lynch or somebody comes in and they match up Company A and Company B. And they say to Company A, I tell you what you can do, if you want to pay LIBOR, you can pay me LIBOR, and in exchange, I will pay you some fixed rate, and now you have a floating rate bond. And the swap dealer will go to B and say, what I'll do, you won't fix, I will pay you LIBOR, and since you're paying your bondholders LIBOR and I'm paying you LIBOR, it's the same thing, those wash out. In return, you pay me some fixed rate. Okay, now in reality, of course, these things are negotiated out, but in our classroom, this is how we negotiate it. There are 80 basis points available. The spread between fixed is 120, the spread between floating is 40, the spread between the spreads is 80 basis points. Therefore, I can make the three entities, Company A, Company B, and the swap dealer, collectively 80 basis points better off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 10 of those basis points go to the swap dealer, 35 goes to B, 35 goes to A. Okay, so let's look at A's position. A said I could issue in the floating rate at LIBOR plus 20 basis points, but because I do the swap deal, I'm going to be 35 basis points better off. So at the end of the day, I'm going to be LIBOR minus 15 basis points. Company B says I could have been at 5.2% fixed, but they're going to make me 35 basis points better off, which means at the end of the day, I'm going to be 4.85% fixed. So how can we do this? The LIBORs here cancel out. So currently B is paying 60 basis points. If they pay 4.25, let me see if I get another color. Let's stick with the blue. If they pay 4.25, what's the total that B pays? B is paying 4.25 plus 60 basis points. That's 4.85. B is happy this swap happened. They would have had to pay the fixed rate of 5.2%, but because they did a swap, they're paying 4.85. What about A? Well, the swap dealer is going to take his cut and pass along 4.15 to A. So if this is the case, A pays LIBOR to the swap dealer, so they're paying that out. They pay out 4% to their bondholders. They receive 4.15% from the swap dealer. They're paying LIBOR minus 15. So they're happy. They could have been at LIBOR plus 20. Now they're at LIBOR minus 15. They're 35 basis points better off. The swap dealer is happy because the swap dealer gets 10 basis points. So that's not the reality of it. That's the classroom mechanics to try to get you understanding how the swaps work. And we'll talk at another time about a little more realism to this.